What's up? Welcome to Four Downs. Zac Elder, Daniel Carp, Daniel Nolan here to preview this weekend's game against NC State. But the game that we're going to have to talk about in First Down, guys, is Virginia Tech. Duke is now bowl eligible for the first time in 101 seasons in back-to-back years. Pretty impressive. But you were there in Blacksburg, Zach. How did this go down?
Well, Danny, I've never seen 66,000 people so quiet. I mean, the Hokies fans were stunned. This was a huge landmark victory for Duke. And they did it with their defense. That's really what it came down to. They built up a 13-0 lead to start the game. At the end of the third quarter, the Hokies finally got on the board and scored a touchdown. And it seemed like everything was going to kind of fall apart. And in the end, it just came down to a huge defensive stand in the fourth quarter to let Duke escape with the victory.
Yeah, and Duke was holding on for its dear life in the second half because offensively it just couldn't move the ball. If you told me that Duke was going to not complete his pass in the entire second half and not convert on a third down for the entire football game and still win, I would have said you were crazy. Winning teams don't put up stats like that, but Duke's defense propelled it to a victory, and that's been a theme these last few weeks.
So Duke now at 6-2. They're playing NC State this weekend, but the mood on campus seems completely shifted. It's a basketball school traditionally, but on campus, whether it be Duke student government, the administration itself, everything seems to be football right now, which is pretty interesting.
Yeah, it is. We have our basketball home opener on Friday against Davidson, but it seems like the entire focus for Duke Athletics this weekend seems to be on this weekend's football game against NC State. And that's something you haven't seen here in a while. I mean, Duke is expecting a home atmosphere this weekend that rivals what it was last season when North Carolina came to town. And you're going to see a lot of red in the stadium because of the crosstown rivalry with the NC State. But I think you're going to see a lot of students coming out, and it's going to be a lot of Duke blue in those stands.
And this is huge. This is for their 7th victory. They haven't won 7 games since 1994. And it's really all about having a winning record. I mean, Duke went to a bowl game last year, but they lost. And ending the season 6-7 really doesn't look that great on paper. Clinching this 7th win and then looking at the remaining 3 games, the ceiling is really high for the Blue Devils to finish off the year.
And that's been the mantra for this Duke team this entire year. They came into the year saying that they were going to finish because that's what they didn't do last year. They went 6-2 to start the season, and they lost 5 straight to end the year. But as you've seen this year, their second half defense has been impeccable. They've been finishing plays, they've been finishing games, and now they want to try to finish this season by picking up 7 wins and more.
And so in order to get that 7th win, they're going to have to beat NC State, a team that has struggled as of late. They've lost 4 in a row. What is the key for Duke going into this game against the Wolfpack?
Well, the Wolfpack are struggling, Danny. They've only beaten 2 teams in the FBS this year. They're 3-5. They have yet to win in the conference. And they have a decent defense, but their offensive struggles have really been killing them. Their best receiver, Brian Underwood, broke his collarbone against Florida State a couple weeks ago. Their starting quarterback, Brandon Mitchell, broke his foot in the season opener. Came back against the Seminoles, but has looked sloppy. So Duke's probably going to see a 2-quarterback system. They'll see Mitchell, and they'll see the backup Pete Thomas, who's thrown 3 touchdowns and 8 interceptions. So the passing game hasn't really been there. NC State has a decent rushing attack, but overall they really just haven't been able to put it together on the offensive side of the ball.
And I mean, you talk about a Duke defense that its last 3 games have played probably better than a Duke defense has in the David Cutcliffe era, going up against an NC State team that doesn't even really know who its quarterback is going to be on Saturday. I see that as a huge advantage for the Blue Devils. I mean, it's been hard enough for anybody to play against this Duke defense recently, but given the fact that these quarterbacks aren't going to have the time to get in rhythm and maybe even take multiple series of snaps back-to-back by themselves, I mean, that's something that could definitely bode pretty well for Duke.
Duke has a stingy defense as of late. The offense always plays well at home. So where are you guys going this week, NC State or Duke?
I think it's going to be a winning season for Duke this year, and I think they're going to get it this weekend. I say the Blue Devil defense shows up, the offense gets a little bit of its swagger back, and Duke wins 27-13.
I agree with Dan. I think everything's going in the right direction for the Blue Devils. I see NC State's kicker having a big game. I think he's going to knock down 3 field goals. I've got the Blue Devils 28-9.
So Beat State is the slogan on campus all week long. Duke, NC State this Saturday in Wallace Wade at 4 o'clock. We'll see you there. Zac Elder, Dan Carp, Daniel Nolan. We'll see you guys later.